Starting transmission.
Okay, I am recording all the thingies. That was the sentence.
Please don't pass out. Or do it, but just don't hit your head.
I had to go back to the old method
of
recording us separately because the other program was just... You kept getting worse and worse on your side, and I cannot fathom why.
I'm sorry! I don't know what to do!
No, it wasn't you, it was probably something over here. So, I'm also recording a little bit of video capturing both sides, and then I will just use that to sync up, to make life easier.
Like, your new method seemed great, but like, every time you play it back, you guys would sign him to find it, I would sound fucking terrible.
Yeah. Goldwave just is better at capturing what I hear compared to other programs. Because it doesn't use stereo mix, it uses Realtek's actual system to pick up the loopback of my audio, whatever I'm pushing audio out of, as opposed to stereo mix. Where everything else uses stereo mix, and you sound shitty in stereo mix.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay. It's a shame I didn't start recording when you were, pontificating earlier.
I can pontificate anytime you want. It's not that hard.
Oh, we'll pick that up when the girls come. Because even though I haven't seen it, we can have a nice discussion about characterization in general. Using Steven Universe as a good backdrop.
Well, Steven Universe is just... alright, so, anyway. I'll pick it up when they come. Basically, the thing I remember about Steven Universe is that the showrunner, the producer, was one of the better writers from Adventure Time. She's actually, I believe, the person who came up with the Distaff counterpart universe with the
Fiona?
Yeah, thank you.
Fiona.
Fiona and Cake.
Oh, yes. Cake the cat. Wasn't that gonna get its own spin-off?
I think it was until she got this green-lighted.
I know it has, or is going to, because I've seen people posting their work on it. Its own comic. Maybe that's what happened to it.
That might be what it is.
Because there is also an Adventure Time comic series. But speaking of comics...
Hello and welcome to episode 67 of the Super Happy Fun Jabbertron Tea Party podcast with Kiki and Bones. Sit down with a nice cup of tea and enjoy the show.
I suppose no more B-roll so high. But speaking of comics, did you see the Legend of Korra post?
No, what's going on with it?
They're going to continue it in comics.
Oh, God.
Starting with the her and Asami in the spirit world. So excited! That, and because you can get away with more in the comics, because they don't tend to be pushed out all overseas like the TV shows. Which is really the only reason, so many things are supported, because they need it to be viewable at an international level. Stupid Russia. But comics! You can get away with a lot more in comics. Pour myself some tea. Probably still not a great more. I'm not saying we're gonna see some gay sex, but still. I am really excited for it.
The fact that those two ended up was still the best troll ever.
Not so much a troll though, knowing it and looking back, because I got into the show late, like I usually do, because that's just how life is. You can see that they had a great friendship, and it was pretty obvious that something was coming from that. But not like in your face obvious, like it still could have swerved that it was not them. But for me it wasn't all that unbelievable that they had emotions for each other beyond buddies.
Yeah. No, but I mean usually with kids cartoons, it's really obvious who's going to be the love interest.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember you can laugh at me if you want, but I remember when Naruto was first new around here, and I had said, he's gonna end up dating the quiet cute girl from his graduating class, and everybody went, nah, he's gonna date the girl in his team. I'm like, no, she's gonna end up with the emo kid, like the other guy on the team. Like, no, it'll be him and her. She'll eventually. I'm like, no, it'll be the quiet girl that's been, the Shrieking Violet in the background who's been quietly saying his name over and over again. And that's exactly what happened. And to be honest, adult Naruto is fucking amazing. I'm so excited for them to do anything where he's a grown-ass man, because it just seems like it's going to be a super amusing storyline.
Yeah.
Like, I like Dragon Ball, don't get me wrong, but Dragon Ball Z is so much better than Dragon Ball. Adult Goku is so much more interesting than Kid Goku. And actually, later Dragon Ball Z is even better than starting original Dragon Ball Z, because then you get adult Gohan.
Adult Gohan is both awesome and fucking ridiculous.
Yes. No, seriously. Gohan is like the best character. He is by far one of the best characters in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Goku is amazing in his own magical way, mostly because he's like a big kid. Like, he keeps that like childlike innocence no matter how old he gets, and that's good. It works well for his character.
Yeah.
But Gohan is just fucking hilarious.
Uh-huh. Gohan is the best of both of his parents, really.
Yeah. He's got his ability for like his mother to be serious. Well, I mean his father, Goku could be serious too, but I'm saying like to be serious in regular life, not like he just got his face punched in and so now he's gonna be serious.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what makes it so much funnier, like when it's like, he's got like a desk job doing something, but he's also like legitimately one of the strongest fighters in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And like fucking Piccolo, like Piccolo's like transformation from big bad guy in Dragon Ball to the end of Dragon Ball Z, where he's basically a glorified babysitter.
Yeah. I mean, Gohan affected him greatly. But essentially being brought into the group affected him greatly, but Gohan was really a turning point for that.
Yeah.
Because for him it was just, okay, this kid needs to be trained so he can be a tool in the next battle, and then it became, oh crap, I have emotions. Oh crap, like I've sort of developed this family with people I used to hate. And the same for Vegeta.
Yeah, and Chris Sabatz always talks about, there's this. He was talking to the Japanese voice actor for Piccolo.
Yeah.
And he was like, there's a moment in the manga I don't think got animated where basically I always call it the Gilligan's Island moment, where he basically refers to Gohan as his little buddy. And they were saying that's the moment he makes the turn from being a bad guy, like an anti-hero, to being like a legitimate hero. And they're like, that is the very moment he starts making the transition to being basically like the Namekian guardian of Earth. I get that Dende ends up being the actual like guardian, but like Dende can't fight. Dende's an academic.
Yeah.
Dende's a healer. Piccolo basically ends up being the the universe's answer to who will be the muscle on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Because Earth is his home. Namek is his, species
Birthplace.
home, but
Yeah.
it's not his home. There's a difference between where you come from and where your home is.
Yeah. Well, and Dende is such an interesting character too. Like, you gotta give it up to Akira Toriyama. I mean, he has a lot of actually legitimately, for what it is, a lot of really well written characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you have this whole dichotomy between Kami and Piccolo as there being the dark half and the light half of a combined being, and how they inevitably end up coming back together once Piccolo basically experiences human emotions and comes to terms with his basically being the darker half of the Guardian of Earth. They was talking about that, they're like, he was supposed to be his evil half. No, he was his darker, impulsive half.
Yeah. Evil is a concept, not a being.
Not an actual thing.
Yeah, so he
you
was
can't
more
feel
his...
evil, you can only do evil.
Yeah, he was just, his less calm, centered version. What the? Are you growling at?
Wolf.
Are the aliens attacking? This one can get up from his chair. I might fall over. Okay, hang on.
Yep, no problem.
No, hang on. Let me get... Oh, don't. What do we do? Oh. No, hush. Okay. Anyway, we were saying, good characterization, Akira Toriyama.
But I mean, it's that's part of what a lot of the the shonen long-running shonen titles suffer from these days. A lot of reason why you don't see a lot of really long-running stuff is that
Bland
the characters are bland. Yeah, they're I don't want to say doorstops, but they're so people call them people call the female characters that are basically just there as wish fulfillment doormats.
Yeah.
But I always call the male characters that basically are engineered to be bland as placemats. They're a thing for you to basically fit yourself into so that you can experience the world. They're a proxy for you, because generally it's generally a lot of times the only time you see them is in harem animes where it's based off a dating sim. So basically they're supposed to be a placemat.
Yeah.
It's very rare that they have a harem anime where the character is actually the male or even female, main character is a well-defined, with a working personality and worldview system.
Yeah. Because it's got to be bland enough for you to make choices and feel like you're developing a character. Whereas that's not how a TV show should be, or frankly a book. A lot of what is considered bad or trite young adult novels, they suffer because the lead is, in all rights, bland. They're intentionally bland. It's not always just bad writing, it's just so you can, sort of do this wish fulfillment thing of, oh, she's like me, because no, she's not. You're just impressing yourself upon her. She's practically nothing. Everything happens to her. She doesn't react. Because she has no agency. She has no characterization beyond these few flimsy things that all age groups in that, or not all age groups, all genders in that age group tend to go through. So it's very easy to go, yeah, just like me, only except there's supernatural shit going on. Usually. I'm not saying all, just that, especially for a long time, that was the issue. There wasn't really any writing going on. There was just, wish fulfillment. You could still have that with a great story and a great character. Which
have you ever heard of the term transcending the mask?
Yes.
Specifically, it's referenced in the story of Puss in Boots. But
yeah,
just on the topic of wish fulfillment, people always talk about this crazy thought process of, I made up a perfect me and just started pretending I was that person, and eventually I just became that person through my actions of trying to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important it's important to have wishes, to have dreams. But it's also important to want to actively, within reason, actively work towards those dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I always refer back to, like, when I was a, like, middle-aged teenager, like, not young teens, but, like, like 13, like, like 14, 15, like, trying to figure out, like, what am I going to be? Like, what kind of adult am I going to end up like? And
you were a young warthog, yes.
When I was a young warthog.
I was just sitting here go, wait for the pause so you can say it. Anyway, as you were saying.
Yeah. Oh, that's more true than I want to admit to, but yeah, there's this thing of, we were I don't remember what, we were at one of the half price books and I saw something and I went, oh god, what the hell did I pull out of, like, it was a DVD of something, and I said, oh god, it wasn't Rainbow Six, what was it? But basically, it works into that whole oh fuck, how do you say it? Chubio? The thing of, like, yeah, where you're like, you're like pretending to be Dark Flame Master kind of shit. And it wasn't quite that, but you know what I'm saying? It was like this. We were talking, I said, it's a long story, but basically there was a time when, like, I was building this, I was going to be this tough guy, this dude that could get shit done. And it was very, because I was very weak, it was very militaristic. It was, like what every teenage boy goes through, guns and explosions and, fucking Rainbow Six, Green Beret shit. I don't know what you want to call it. And so I had this whole conception, but, like, we were talking about how, like, this character I built, not only did I transcend him as the person that I am, like, I became much, much more of a human being and much more of a man than, like, this picture I had of what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But more specifically...
Ignore that was me tweeting.
Yes, it was. But more specifically, it was like...
Words.
What I thought I wanted to be was not even close to what I should have wanted to be.
Ah.
Like, looking back a decade and a half ago, and looking at, Proto Cupcake, or whatever you want to call young me, and going, this was your conception of what you thought you should be, and what you are now is 10 times the person that you thought you should be, because the person you thought you should be was a sad, pathetic little man. Such an incomplete human that growing up is kind of fucking amazing and horrifying at the same time.
Well, yeah, it's very complicated. No, that's pretty much it. It's very complicated because you're trying to figure out who you are, while society's trying to tell you who you are, while your family's trying to tell you who you are, and friends, and you're also... all these things are molding you into something that you're not quite yet, but you're only going to be that something for a very short amount of time before you get molded into a slightly different variation thereof.
Well, it's like, it's like everybody always talks about how, give or take, you stay the same person at your core. And I'm like, if you took the me from, because I have this thing where I say, like, basically, I have been a different person every 3 to 5 years, like clockwork. Like, if I look back 3 years ago at the person I was then, I was a different person than I am now. And that person was a different person from the guy 3 years prior to him, and to him, and to him, and to him, and all the way back, to, the beginning of my childhood. You are not the same person.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine somebody staying exactly the same through their entire life. Like, we are molded by our experiences, and,
It's just people look for mundane things that or seemingly don't change and use those as the qualifier, but then it's really like, no, you've learned more, you've met new people, you've possibly unknowingly changed your values a little bit because you don't really remember them before, or because our brain just goes, no, that's how we've always been. But yeah, you were always you, but never the same version of you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easy to go, like, I am very different from teenage me, but I'm also very different from me a few months ago. Not, like, strikingly different, but we're not the same person while being the same person. That's how life works. We're all, going along through time, experiencing shit.
Well, it's like...
Even if it's the same shit every day, you're still, doing stuff.
It's like I tell people, like, meeting you has changed the way I view the world. Like, people don't believe me when I say that, but I'm like, with every person I meet, my worldviews, stuff I couldn't see if I wanted to, without somebody showing it to me. It's just not, it's, whether it's society or genetics or gender or what, but I'm saying, like, there are some things that you just don't notice as a part of normal society until somebody with a different perspective shows it to you. It just goes unnoticed. And it's like it's a much weirder perspective to be in, because, like, how do I want to put this? It's...
Well, while you're thinking,
Yes.
Some people obviously don't think they've changed much because they still have the same kind of worldviews, which is only slightly true. Because there's what you express as worldview, your actual worldview, but it's also understanding other worldviews. Because understanding is not the same as accepting or agreeing with. Because I can understand why you're a vegetarian. I don't want to be a vegetarian for those reasons. So I don't, necessarily agree that that's something everyone should do. But I can see your point of view. Sometimes. Or, why some people have medical concerns, or why some people go towards religion and whatnot. Like, I can understand your thought process. And that, in turn, gives me more information, therefore changes my outlook on life. But it doesn't necessarily change my moral backbone. Like, my hatred for someone is not automatically they're an idiot. It's more, we have fundamentally different views on human rights. And I wish we didn't, but at the same time, I get that you're coming from a different standpoint than me, which was painfully obvious, but I sort of understand it now.
Well, let's put it this way. One of my coworkers, said they have a bit of biblical understanding of marriage. And I didn't even bring up any of the historical shit about what marriage is. I just said, if you had a sibling and they were gay and they wanted to marry the person they were in love with, wouldn't you want them to be happy? And they got really quiet. And I said, I'm not I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just asking you a question. If somebody you loved, a family member, a friend, whatever, was in love with someone, wouldn't you want them to be happy? And don't you think that a truly benevolent God would want them to be happy?
Yeah. That's really a sensible argument to give to people. It possibly, it's not like a guarantee it'll change them, but it at least makes them think.
I said, you can think it's wrong, but wouldn't you want them to be happy? I'm not saying anything about it being right or wrong. Would you not want them to be happy?
Yeah.
And don't you think that your God could forgive them if they're truly happy? To think that there is a being of such immense power that would strike you down because you were in love with somebody of the same sex is insane. Why would you pray to something that horrible that would strike you down for being in love with someone of the same sex? Like that's a horrifying idea. It's like it was like the day my grandparents were worrying about eating meat on a Friday during Lent, and I'm like, Grandma, if you die and go to heaven, and the big man tells you you're not getting in because one day when you were 85 you ate meat on a Friday during Lent, was that really a God you wanted to pray to anyway? I mean, how vindictive is that? I mean, for the most part, my family are all devout, Catholics.
Yeah.
And, my dad had said something about that when, it looked like the end was coming. And I said, Dad, you're a good person. What kind of monster would this supreme being have to be to tell you you were undeserving of paradise? That you hadn't been a good enough person?
Mm-hmm. Stephen Fry had a very good, it was an interview with someone, I forget who, and the gift set's rolling around Tumblr every now and then. But that was essentially his position of, even if there is a God, if he is this sort of God, then I don't really want to have anything to do with him because he seems like a giant prick, essentially.
Yeah.
So I would take hell over that. Not saying that that's what you were saying, but that the general sense is.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's like,
yeah.
If your God is truly all-powerful, why does he allow people to suffer?
Yeah. I mean, you can make arguments that suffering, spice of life and whatnot, that we need emotions and crap,
No. So you're missing the point. If your God is truly all-powerful, why does he allow people to suffer? If you say anything other than he's not all-powerful, you're deluding yourself.
Well, arguably, not meaning actual offense, but obviously this will be offensive. But the religion is pretty much that. It's a way to explain something. Even if we found an explanation for it, sometimes a religious one is just more comforting or easier to grasp, even though science can be really easily dumbed down. Who was it? Albert Einstein who said some great quote about good science should be able to be understood simply?
Probably.
Something like that. I'm a little stoned, so I can't remember the quote, but if the layman can't understand it, then you haven't done it right.
Yeah.
Because,
there's some science that the layman's never going to understand.
Well, no, I don't think he was talking about, the big, being able to do and getting the basic concept is a different thing. I think he was talking about the basic concept, how generally weather works, or generally evolution, or generally viruses and whatnot. Simple things you should be anyway, learning in school. Or be able to, a little blurb in a journal at the start of an entry just to go over a basic overview of what it's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this study showed these things because of these things, and now we'll give you all the fucking data and hard science and whatnot. Because, we still need peer-reviewed shit and whatnot, so that that's how science is supposed to work. But at the same time, people who aren't in the fields, You need to be able to understand it to grasp it, I guess. Because I feel like that's one of the reasons, not solely, mostly I would argue money is a major factor of why climate change is so denied, but also a mixture of people don't understand that climate and weather aren't the same thing. They can have an impact on one another, but they're not the same. Just because it snowed for you does not mean global warming is not happening.
Weather is the thing that happens day to day. Climate is a combination of looking at how the weather's been for the last 10 years.
And that's an easy explanation. Or, like, how... What is his name? Bill O'Reilly?
Bill Nye?
No, not Bill Nye. The Republican guy who...
I don't know which one.
The one that Jon Stewart doesn't totally hate?
Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah. The waves go in, the waves come out, and he made a bunch of, like, simple things.
You can't explain that.
When really a child can explain that. Like, they know...
The waves go in and out due to the position of the moon in relation to the planet.
The moon's gravity, and my phone is not on silent. Oops,
the moon exerts a gravitational force pull on the tide, on the oceans. So when the tides go out, the moon is closer to your side of the planet. When the tides come in, the moon's on the far side of the planet. And I think I just screwed that up, but you get my point.
No, I know what you mean. Because I think you got that backwards. But, it's easy. It has an explanation, and it also has an easy one. Like, one you can grasp, because... You know, we've been to the fucking moon. We've shown that gravity does stuff and things to other stuff and things. But I feel for them it's more of a... It's like they're afraid it's going to somehow crack their worldview and make it impossible to have their safe notions. And science doesn't have to fly in the face of religion. It can be right next to it. And often it is. Or used to be, depending on your personal religion. Like, even the fucking Pope is going, climate change is a thing, let's deal with this.
Yeah, the tides are pulled out when the moon is, for lack of a better word, is closest to your side of the planet. The tides come in, I don't know, because they're using this to explain it when you're not on the same side of the planet as the moon is.
Yeah, because the moon rotates us. I forget its rotation again. Stone. But yeah, I'm not looking for an explanation like from a hard point here, but I get the concept of the moon affecting us. Just like we and us in turn back, because that's how gravity works. That's why it circles us and whatnot, and it affects us in certain ways too because of it. Just like, you know, the sun affects us, and other planets vaguely affect us, and things come shooting in from like the Kepler belt affect us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we're studying those things, not only to learn, but because we're part of that solar system. It's important.
What was the line the guy used? Something I probably remember one line used by somebody in school was they were saying something about you couldn't explain, and now I can't even remember, but they were saying like you couldn't explain like it was something about energy sources on the planet, like stuff growing, and how it's a closed system, and it would require a massive external source of energy for the system to keep working. And I don't remember what the crux of the argument was, but it had something to do with they conceived of our planet as being a closed energy system, so no energy entered or left the planet's system. And I remember thinking, well, what do you call the sun?
Yeah.
And they looked at me all cockeyed, like, what? I'm like, well, sun is a source of external energy to the planet. What?
Yeah. The whole light and other stuff it tosses at us. And
Like
it bounces shit off the moon at us.
And they just couldn't even conceive that the sun was a source of energy for the planet. I was like, it is the source of energy.
Mm-hmm.
What? I'm like, all energy on this planet came from the sun.
It's how we work.
Well, they're like, well, what about oil? How do you explain oil? I'm like, oil is the broken down materials of long dead plants and animals that has been crushed under, geological processes for millions of years.
Yeah.
But at one point, it was something alive. And it got its energy from the sun.
Yeah.
But what if it was a carnivore? What do you think carnivores eat?
They eat meat, but we still need the sun. Nothing on this planet would work in the way we understand it without the sun. And the moon. Because of what it does to our geological terrains and whatnot. Wave.
Well, it's like when you explain.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you explain to somebody that no matter how complex our energy systems get for producing power, we're still doing it the same way we've been doing it from the beginning. You heat water that turns into steam, that turns an impeller, that makes electricity. Everybody looks at me cockeyed, and I'm like, no, seriously. Inevitably, when our fourth generation nuclear reactors and first generation fusion reactors come online, they'll be doing it the same way we've been doing it since the Industrial Revolution. You'll make heat to boil water, to make steam, that'll turn a propeller, that will spin an electric motor, that will make electrical power.
Because, isn't that very simplified, that is? Isn't that pretty much what a nuclear reactor is?
All a nuclear reactor is a way to make heat.
Yeah, it's a fancy steam engine thing.
Every source of power on this planet is a fancy steam engine.
Yeah, because cars, you're burning fuel for heat and whatnot, and batteries.
Well, that's a little, that's a little different.
It's not exactly the same, but essentially, the concept is heat, something energy. Essentially.
So, what you're doing with the combustion engine, when you take away all of the advancements, is you put oxygen and fuel mixed together into a chamber. You ignite a spark. The explosion inside the chamber pushes a piston down that, basically spins a shaft that's going to your wheels. Like if you skip all the transmission stuff and just have, a shaft going to to whatever you want to move. Mm-hmm. And basically the continuous application of this process of one port opening, letting fuel in, and igniting, pushing the piston down, and then as the piston comes back up and more fuel has been added, the other side opening and letting the exhaust out.
Yeah.
It just repeats that process until it's out of fuel. And that's how basically every fossil fuel-based engine works. That's not a turbine, a jet.
Well, yeah, that's different.
Jets work under a similar process, but with a different technology.
Worse. But yeah, honestly, we're not expecting everybody to understand or to know exactly fucking how far away we are from Mars, but to at least understand the concept of Mars is far away. Just a general grasp of space, or geology, or, your own fucking biology. A general grasp is all the general populace should be expected of, but they're taught often even less than that. Especially about their own goddamn bodies. Yeah. You know, sex education, right? Although, I don't know what is currently taught in schools. It obviously depends on your state or county and country, really. If you're a non-American listener, your school is either school system is either worse than ours or far better. Which is hilarious, because our public schools are really shitty, but our major colleges are still heavily sought after by, oh my god, non-American people who come here for school.
Exchange students?
Thank you. Motherfucker.
No problem.
Then again, not exclusively us, but often us. Although a lot of some of our kids go elsewhere too.
Mm-hmm.
It depends really on what you want to do and whether or not you have the ability to do it outside of wherever you live. Because who is it? Is it Germany or is it the Dutch that has free college for anyone?
I think both, actually.
Regardless of citizenship. Like, one of them has a big online thing, but maybe it's both of them.
There's a lot of countries that are like that now in Europe. It's just like, if you want to learn the language, you can, come to school there for free. It's
well, one of them had, like, almost all
Germany
of
in particular
in English. Maybe it was Germany that had done the English. Because you could go for free online and get a degree, which is far better than we do. But we don't like the whole basic human rights thing. Not saying other countries are, extravagantly better than us, but certain ones in certain ways are. We aren't that great. I am very proud to be an American, but I am proud enough to say we suck. And, at least I have the benefit of being white. Scratch. And to catch you up, I just got a message from the girls. Dinner did not sit well with Grieve, so they are not coming. Because she's like having fainting spells whenever she stands up. So
well, that's not good.
That usually means she's about to have stomach troubles. So
that's too bad.
And she hates being fussed over far more than I do, so she's gonna stay home. Although for far different reasons. I don't like to feel useless, and she was raised that she was an inconvenience, so...
Oh, that's a joy. That's a beautiful feeling to have. I'm pretty sure if my parents had treated me like that, I wouldn't be here right now.
Mm-hmm. It was only one parent, but the other parent was not helpful. Like, her dad is a great guy, but at the same time, he kind of let her mom do whatever as long as it never got physical in front of him. And he would still, be like, I love you and whatnot, and proud of you. But she was the mom, so clearly she knew what she was doing, kind of thing. Yeah. It didn't work out great. Anywho, not to talk about Grieve's personal business behind her back, although she's talked about it a bit on here. I guess let's go ahead and talk about Steven Universe like we were gonna.
Since now they're not coming.
Yeah.
Those jerks.
If I'm not passed out when we're done, I'll go check on them. If I can manage
be passed
stairs.
I'll give you 10 minutes.
There's the camera.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, that's in focus.
That hurt. Okay, so what were we talking about with Crystal Gems? We were talking about characters.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have work in 5 hours.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. New shifts mean I open on my weekends. Super awesome.
I am sorry that you gotta go make the mad money. Money.
Yes, mad money. Mad money.
I left the water on, right? Yeah, okay.
That would have been funny.
I remember doing it. You wanna talk about Ghostbusters?
I don't know what to say, just the pictures have been popping up on Twitter.
Yeah, I like the look. Very practical.
Bunch of super great women.
Look like ladies getting ready to do business.
Mm-hmm.
I am very much looking forward to the film. I might even go see it in theaters.
Ooh.
Yeah. Are they still also making that all-male Ghostbusters reboot?
I don't know.
Which is just
I stopped paying attention.
It's a dumb idea to do. Cause it's literally just all, no, we can't have the ladies, let's make another one. Cause honestly, even if it's the worst film ever, Ghostbusters, the ones you know and love, still fucking exist. You can go buy it. You probably already own it.
Well, see, the biggest problem is that at this point, alright, we have Bill Murray, we have Dan Aykroyd, and we have Ernie Hudson for the actor, because Harold Ramis died, like 5 years ago. Actually, it's not too bad. So, Harold Ramis is out, but everybody else is still around. But Bill Murray doesn't really want to do another Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Aykroyd doesn't really want to act at all anymore. He'd rather just produce stuff.
Mm-hmm. He really only acts for, like, special things in commercials, apparently.
Yeah. And so I basically have Ernie Hudson left. So you could do something fun with that, but ultimately it's going to be, like, the next generation of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Which was floating around for a while, but then he died and that kind of got shelved. That, and I don't think everybody was really on board with it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, and also, good luck getting, I can't think of his name. The guy who plays Louis Tully, because he's basically impossible to get anymore. He's
fucking done.
Well, he said he originally stopped acting so he could be home for his kids because his wife had died of cancer. But then as time went on, he just didn't really miss it.
Yeah. He's great and all, but if he doesn't want to do it, then he doesn't want to do it. Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where it's just like none of his like good friends who are directors have asked him, because like that's the thing now is like Mel Brooks wants to make another Spaceballs.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how would he do it, and he's like, well, I really would like to get Harold Ray I can't think of his name now. I just said it too. Oh God. Should I hate that? We just can't think of somebody's name.
Yeah. It's a good thing we live in the internet age. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Words. But,
well, the long and short of it is, like they said, if anybody could do it, Mel Brooks could get him to come out of retirement, because...
Rick Moranis,
thank you.
Yeah.
That's it. And I legitimately like him. Like, they were like, well, how would he do it, and blah, 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 and, how many of these actors have died from the original Spaceballs? And I'm like, well, okay, so, basically, what you do, forgive me for this because I don't remember her name, but you get Bill Pullman to come back to play a older, wiser, King Lone Star. Since the guy who played the Druish King just died.
Mm.
So you get King Lone Star and Queen Vespa and tell a story. Doesn't matter what the story is. Tell a story.
Daphne Zuniga? Ninga? Is that it?
I think so. If you listen to the commentary, he tells you how to pronounce her last name.
I haven't listened to the commentary in a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she was on One Tree Hill for a long time.
But I was like, all right, so John Candy's dead. Joan Rivers is dead.
Hella funny to come out, alongside or behind of the new Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. Wait for them to finish the new Star Wars, then make a spoof, basically.
Yeah.
Make fun of sci-fi in general. The whole landscape of sci-fi has changed radically since the 80s. Like, there's all kinds of new material that you could use to make fun of. Like, they're working off of Star Wars, Star Trek, and Alien. Now, they can make fun of Terminator, they make fun of RoboCop, make fun of, modern Star Trek.
A plethora.
Modern Star Wars.
Yeah.
Alien, Predator, it doesn't have to, because, really they were just bits, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The whole genre of sci-fi, Avatar, make fun of Avatar.
But going back to, Ghostbusters as a whole, I was saying earlier how when the images were cropping out how I was excited, because the suits looked practical.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a worry there, but not really. The worry, that is. But so saddened by the comments that were totally expected under it, and even if this is just pandering, so what? I would love the shit out of a movie starring mostly ladies that isn't a fucking tear-jerking romance or friendship, someone dies sort of thing. Because not all chick flicks are bad, but ladies in lead roles doing shit. Even if it's shit that's already been done by dudes, so what? Giving it the Ghostbuster tags gets it past the stupid, misogynistic producer marketing team bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad that we gotta do that right now, but fucking we're gonna do it.
I like that none of them are supermodels. That made me so happy.
Yeah, they're still very lovely looking ladies.
No, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They didn't go, my worry when they said they were going to do an all-female cast was they were going to get a bunch of, and not there's anything wrong with this, but they're going to get a bunch of young, pretty comedians to do it. And the whole thing about Ghostbusters was, the original Ghostbusters was a bunch of schlumpy, fucking, middle-aged men.
Yeah. Just trudging along with their, college positions and shit, and then, doing something with their life. And, I want to say the youngest one is 31? Which is
I think so.
Awesome, considering all the other ones are in their 40s. That's, because there's the trap, the age trap that a lot of lady actresses end up falling in, because that's how it works, because either you are, too old for the part, but not old enough for the other parts.
I gotta show you something.
Because apparently women between, late 30s and early 50s don't exist in the movie world.
Mm-hmm. Do you recognize those two men?
Yes! Oh my god, I didn't realize how closely Elton Brown and him looked. Wow.
I love it.
I am saving that.
I like the fact that Reddit didn't quite know who the other person was. They recognized Adam Savage, but they're like, who's the other guy? I'm like, did you ever watch Good Eats? No. I'm like, yup. What? Yup. What? I'm like, yup. They're friends. They hang out. It's the whole reason Elton Brown made an episode where he was making fun of Mythbusters because he had become good friends with Adam Savage. But yeah, I'm just happy that it's a bunch of, normal-looking ladies going to fight ghosts. That's all I care about. I'm sure it'll be amazing. I have a lot of fun. Not that I'm saying a bunch of young, pretty-looking comedians couldn't do it, but I'm glad that they're just normal-looking people, that they're not, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but, my feeling anytime they say they're going to do all females, that they're going to, sexify it. It's like...
They're not supermodels. Not that supermodels aren't people, but they're
Yeah.
supermodels for a reason. They're not the norm. Where these ladies are very much women who you would see just walking down the street. You could be one of them. But they're also heavily talented, funny as fuck, especially Melissa McCarthy. I love the shit out of her. Oh, sounds like someone opened my door. But no one did.
So, Kevin Smith is making a movie called The Bratzi, about a foot-tall Canadian Nazi made of sentient bratwurst, and he's going to play the character.
Pass.
I'm excited! This sounds amazing!
Then good for you. I will pass.
Why? But Kevin Smith's so much fun. I'm so glad he's making strange movies.
Oh wait, is Bill Murray going to be in the new Ghostbusters?
I think so.
Yeah.
A cameo, I think.
It's on his filmography, okay. Neat. I do love me some Bill Murray. And Sigourney Weaver. God, I love Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
Sexy, gorgeous, can act the fuck out of anything, even in shitty films. She's great. Like, what is it, Vamps? Is a fun vampire film, but it ain't great. But she's great in it. I don't think I've ever heard any of Leslie Jones' stand-up. I've seen her, like, bits and pieces from Saturday Night Live. And a couple of interviews, I think, but I'm looking forward to her as well. Pardon. And that was Ghostbusters. What to talk about next? Did we already talk about the topic you wanted to talk about? Or did we talk about that earlier and ruined it?
I don't even remember what it was I was going to talk about.
Oh.
I don't. And at this point, I don't think I would remember.
Okay. People who make Minecraft adventure maps, make more multiplayer maps.
Apparently that's really hard to do because every map you give me, like, is broken as shit in multiplayer, but works fine in single player.
Yeah.
What you find out is, like, the really big groups that make, like, the AAA level maps, like, theirs work fine in multiplayer because they have, like, you know, a dozen people testing them. As
opposed to the one guy who's like, I think it works on multiplayer. Or, you know, please don't play this on multiplayer. It's likely to break.
Or it'll break your server.
Yeah.
Like the one. I loaded it. It made my computer crash.
Yeah. Sorry. I should really... I keep meaning to try to do the server thingy again.
That wasn't your fault. Like, it literally caused a feedback loop that just caused my computer to just go, thud.
Apparently the Lumberjanes won a Eisner for Best Teen Publication. Nice. That's a comic series.
Crazy.
Right? Yeah, isn't it also being made into a TV show? Maybe.
Probably.
Or at least it got optioned to. There's a couple of things that have been optioned from the internet that never get turned into things. Which makes me think it was one of those, let's buy it up so nobody can make it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Well, fucking Baby Cakes got a TV show on Adult Swim. And you have no idea what I'm talking about, and that's good.
I'm like, sure. I'm glad.
It's called, it's the one, something Illinois.
China, Illinois?
Yes.
Ringo, what? What? Is there a ghost outside? Did Timmy fall down a well? Well, I guess if the girls aren't going to be here, then I'll just switch to the wireless.
Probably wise.
Ah! Drop it. No, shit. Dropping all the things. Say some words and stuff so I can actually get audio. What? What's outside? Is it marauders? Well, I'm not wearing any pants. Do. No. wearing pants. But nobody can see that because this is an audio podcast. So, topics.
What were we talking about? Shit.
We were talking about Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but after that, you asked the dog if there were ghosts outside, and I was like, okay, ghosts, yes.
I was joking. He just wanted to go out. He probably saw Sassy from the window. And was like, oh, she's out. Or maybe he saw one of the other cats. One of the millions of outside cats that just roam around. Apparently Homestuck is getting very interesting, but I'm still catching up.
How are you still catching up?
I couldn't remember what happened in what order, so I went, fuck it, I'm gonna have to start over.
God, woman, you're insane.
Yeah.
I've only done that once, and I never want to do it again because it took me 2.5 months to get back to where I left off. And that was like 2 years ago when it was only half as long as it is now.
Well, every now and then, like, on nights I can't sleep, so every night.
Every night?
I read it for a little while, and then do something else. Like, I've been playing a lot of Left 4 Dead 2. Or, that's really it. And the usual doodling, but deleting everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Anything interesting in the news? That's not how you get to my games. That's how you get to my games. Open! Open the thing, phone, I command it. Oh wow, I have not checked news in a while. Jeez.
What's up?
I have not checked news in a while, jeez.
Yeah, and?
There's a lot of it.
You poor baby. How will you deal?
Likely by, just marking it all as red and going from there. The voice actor for Solid Snake, or the Japanese voice actor for Solid Snake, is claiming that Kojima Productions has disbanded.
It has.
Okay.
They've already fired Kojima. He's gone.
Yeah, I imagine why would it stay together without him?
It'll be reformed as a different studio.
Yeah.
I imagine a vast majority of his team is going to go with him because they've been together for a couple decades.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll be right back. I have got to pee like a racehorse.
Okay, I will sit here and look at news. Oh, that's right, it was Comic-Con. Let's break this down by sight. Iron Giant returning to theaters with new scenes and remastered. I don't know if I should be happy or upset. I'm all for remastering, but huh?
Say that again.
Iron Giant is coming back to theaters. It's gonna be all cleaned up and have new scenes.
It'll be good.
I don't know. Have you seen the new scenes from the Lion King shit?
No, I didn't even know there were new scenes.
Yeah, the most current edition has stuff, the animated stuff that they had originally cut from the script, some stuff, and it. I can understand why a lot of it was cut, because it ruins the flow. Making another Alvin and the Chipmunks movie.
Not surprised.
Oh yeah! There's gonna be a Street Fighter vs. G.I. Joe thing.
Wait, what?
Street Fighter vs. G.I. Joe.
Oh god, seriously? These versus games are getting out of control.
Is it a game or...
I mean...
Oh no, it looks like it's only a comic.
Oh, okay. I was like, This game won't last very long because a bunch of soldiers with guns versus a bunch of frickin' martial artists, that'll last about 10 seconds.
Well, they took down their Confederate flag, which I suppose is good. It's a bit silly that there had to be a hearing and whatnot, and then they had to sign it into law. Because it's a bit silly that it was put up in that mandate in the first place. But yay, it's down.
Mm-hmm.
A bit silly to... I'm not going to deny it's part of our history, but it's a bit silly to fly, in the Capitol and whatnot.
And I quote, some special form of idiot put a Confederate flag off the back of a fire truck in a 4th of July parade up here.
Yeah, you were understandably very upset, because that was dumb. You're not even in the South.
We're about as far from
Minnesota.
the South as you can be.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the shit? And then the guy has the gall to be like, oh, I'm just trying to make a statement about political correctness.
Political correctness is just the buzzword for, I don't care that I offended you. Pretty much. Like the people who say we can't make good jokes anymore because we can't use offensive terms.
Okay,
then apparently your jokes weren't funny in the first place.
I don't give a shit if he wants to put it off his pickup truck or his car or in front of his house. Don't do it off of a city vehicle.
Yeah, during a fucking parade for the independence of America. The Confederate flag, not part of America. Our history, sure, but not, America. It was from the people who did not want to be part of America.
I would have said the same thing if he had put a ISIS flag off the back of it.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, what the fuck? And instead of just admitting that he's pissed off at the way our state is run, he's just political correctness. Bullshit. You wouldn't have done that if you weren't upset with the way that the state is being run.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of owning up to your beliefs and just saying, yeah, you know what? I think this state is run by a bunch of idiots. He's like, well, I just, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure he had valid reasons, but it's like, you picked a really bad way, and you're going to lose your job over this. You're a goddamn firefighter. It's like, oh my god, why would you do this? What a stupid way to lose your job. And like I had said, like, it's not like down south where, the city's gonna stand behind you. Like, the city's not going to let him get away with it. This is the North, like...
Didn't you say that town is named after, like,
a Civil War soldier? Albert Lee.
Totally off topic, but it just came across my thing.
Okay.
A little, Comic-Con fashion show.
Oh, yeah, I saw this earlier. I was gonna link it to you, but I forgot.
Well, I saw it.
There's a couple Sailor Moon dresses.
Yeah, there's a sort of pseudo-transformation one and a more, standard Fuku kind of glammed up one.
Yeah.
But there's also a bunch of other great ones like Spider-Gwen and Green Lantern, some other things. Mixture of different kinds of genres. I think I saw some Game of Thrones stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And scrolling down.
They got more now. Wow.
Yeah. Death Star, Leia.
The kids are adorable.
Oh my god, they're so cute. Where the fuck am I supposed to post it when this goes up? Yeah. And girls don't like nerdy things. Fuck you.
Nerdy things are only for boys.
Doctor Who stuff.
Dude, the No Game, No Life box set is gigantic.
How big are we talking? Is it as big as, like, that thing you showed me earlier, or is it bigger?
I think damn close. It's at least as big as the, Shinubio, box set.
Ooh, that was pretty big.
Ooh! I saw the special item in the Beyond the Boundary, box set. You know what it ended up being?
What is it? Glasses?
It's the red glasses. I think everyone does, honestly. I'm really sad I didn't have the money this paycheck to order it while the sale was going on. Uh-oh.
Oh, nothing, I just dropped my phone.
Mm.
You're okay. Yeah, my oh shit was a bit more low than it needed to be. It just slipped off my leg onto the floor.
No, it was, I was really sad I didn't have the money, the big Sentai sale was going on to pre-order it. But I just, it would have only been, I would end up paying probably $120, but it would have been $100 if I could have gotten it during the sale, but I didn't have the money yet when it happened.
Jim
To be fair, I would have...
Company is making a detective thing?
Oh, yeah?
I'm sorry, that just came across my screen. The Happy Time Murders, Brian Henson's long-awaited film about a world where humans and puppets coexist, is finally being developed. Puppet Noir follows an alcoholic LAPD detective and his human partner as they investigate the murders of the former stars of the 1980s children's show. I want to see this, because I love fucking puppets. No, I love puppet. I've never actually fucked a puppet, so I don't know if I would love that. Nor have I ever been fucked by one. Unless you want to get into, philosophical people, puppets kind of thing, but nah. I'm talking more of a literal sense.
Do you know who the cosplayer Crystal Graziano is?
That name is familiar, but...
Do you know who the character EDI is from Mass Effect?
Yes.
Yeah, she did her for SDCC.
Oh, nice.
And she's just been spamming it on her page. I've been getting updates all day. She's an absolute riot. Here, let me see if I can get this one by itself.
I did play the fuck out of Mass Effect.
I have a thing that... I'll just link you to her Facebook page. I'm too lazy to try to figure out how to get the link to the video.
Holy shit!
What?
That is awesome!
Isn't that great?
Oh, that's neat. So, it's like...
It's a latex suit.
It's a latex suit, okay.
Yeah. Anatomical, I think, is the name of the company.
Yeah. I mean, it has wrinkles and whatnot, but that's so much better than, trying to paint some of that on you. Especially if you're going to be wearing it all day.
I'm sorry, Andromeda.
Andromeda?
Yeah.
Nice.
Guy's out of Russia, I think. Or person. I'm not clear if it's a guy or a woman doing these, but her Oscar Langley Soryu plug suit is from the same person.
Nice.
Does really amazing work.
Sure, do my time.
But I love the Witness Me video. That just made me laugh really, really hard. I was hoping Amazon Mandy was going to be there too, but I think she's not going this year. She's trying to get ready for Dragon Con, which is in 4 weeks? It's the beginning of August for Dragon Con. Oh no, beginning of September. So there's still a month and a half of that.
I don't know why I just remembered it, but have you watched Kim's playthrough of her story?
No, is it good?
Well, yeah, but it's such a lovely concept for a game, because it's sort of like a visual novel, but in a slightly different interactive way. You're putting the pieces together by trying to figure out what sort of topics to search through in the computer to find the video files, and putting the pieces together, because sometimes you get something from the end and the beginning, and it's a nice story, and it's presented in a very interesting but compelling way.
Mm-hmm.
So, I totally recommend it.
Okay then.
I kind of wish I had it so I can play it with the girls, because Brave, wow, leave that out, would really get into something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're solving the mystery, but you're not going anywhere or doing anything. You just have this. All the evidence has already been gathered, and you gotta look through the videos. It's really great. I'm loving the exploration of games lately, because the internet has made the indie market a little bit more feasible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole world has changed for entertainment. It used to be, what could come through was very limited because it had to be, fit a certain mold. But now it's like with Steam, games, and then all the online services for music. And, I mean, movies are really the only thing that are still kind of off limits unless you have some sort of funding. But even that's getting taken care of with the film festival system.
Yeah. Then Kickstarter, GoFundMe, the other ones. Crowdsourcing has sort of changed. I'm not saying like every single one is like a perfect masterpiece. It's just the tools are easier to access.
I just meant more like, music and that kind of thing you can produce without having to have a shit ton of money, but movies are still kind of like, you gotta get Broken Lizard was able to get enough money to make, or to start producing, Super Troopers 2 because all the movie studios backed out. Yeah.
I mean, there are other avenues. It's not perfect yet, but,
I never understood that one, where like a production company that made a movie wants to make a sequel. And so they say, well, we're going to make the sequel. And the film companies go, well, we don't want to fund this, but we don't want to let you make it either.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. You don't think there's a chance of this going off, so you're not going to fund me. But you're also going to fight me in court to prevent me from making it with somebody else who does think I might have a chance.
Pretty much.
Like, eventually, I don't remember who it was, the company that they worked with agreed to it, but only if they could put up, like, $2 million themselves. But I just remember thinking, like, it was really, like, it was kind of asinine, because it was, like, originally it was, like, we don't want to fund this, but we also don't want anyone else to fund this. It's like, so why don't you fund it then? Because we don't think it'll do well. But you won't let anyone else fund it. No, because if it does well, we want the money. So you want no risk, but you want to cut. Yes.
Yes.
This is insane.
It's usually how it goes. How when John Green was a younger man, he's a writer.
Yeah.
He sold the rights to Looking for Alaska, and then they essentially never made the movie. But now that two of his other books have been turned into movies, they're like, oh yeah, we'll make that thing, even though you're not associated with it technically because of the way you sold the rights, because you didn't know how it worked then. But we're totally going to put your name on it, because it's based on your book, but you'll have dick to do with it, because we already paid you.
Well, it also depends when the rights were sold. Like, they sold the movie rights to Lord of the Rings, like, in the 60s.
Yeah.
And to be dead honest, if you sold your rights any time before, like, the 90s, it was a completely different world.
I think he sold them in the 90s. I don't remember.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Any time before mass media, high-speed internet was a thing, it was a whole different world. Like, they talk about how there's this big thing going around right now that they're noticing more and more young adults are not getting married and having kids. Mm-hmm. And they were having a hell of a time figuring out what was going on. Like, why are people not doing this? And then they worked out that basically people just don't go out as often. So they don't meet like people within spitting distance of them as often because there's shit to, like, in the old days there was nothing to do. So you'd go hang out with people just to have something to do. And so you'd meet people. And by meeting people, you would expand your chances of meeting someone that you would want to, spend the rest of your life with. But because we have the internet, it hasn't so much gone down as it's just people don't get out as much because you have fast instantaneous entertainment at your fingertips 24/7. And so, like, less people are going out and doing stuff and getting, like, it had more to do with, like, socialization than anything else, but they were talking about how, like, despite what everyone's saying, like, the time until people lose their virginity is getting longer and longer because people just aren't, like, getting out and, kids aren't getting out and doing shit.
Yeah.
And because they're not getting out and hanging out with people, they're not, like, it was hilarious. They was reading the study. They were like, kids are not getting sexually active as early as they used to. And everyone's, and the media's going, oh my God, kids are having sex at a younger and younger age, and this, like, the research is coming out. They're going, no, it's actually the other way around.
Yeah. You're just hearing about it more. There's a difference.
Yeah. Like, the average age is moving up.
Mm-hmm.
God, I mean, I think about the amount of hanky-panky I got into when I was a kid. God. Those were idyllic days. Like, I don't think you could get away with the shit that we did when we were kids. I kind of feel like my generation was kind of like the last generation that got away with, like, running wild through the streets.
Well, considering my mother didn't, or not just my mother, but my parents in general, didn't know, like, 3/4 of the things I did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got very lucky that I was not personally terribly dumb about it. Not that they weren't dumb things to do, but they only knew, like, 1/4, a quarter of what I was doing. And that's different now. Not that people shouldn't have secrets or whatnot. Especially children.
Well, it's hard to have secrets.
Yeah, children need secrets. It's how you learn and develop, but it's a bit different now because you're so connected with social media. It's, as long as you're tapping into it, you get a general idea of where they are.
Well, the fact that if you have a phone, you can be tracked to within 15 feet of wherever you're standing. So, I mean, unless you leave your phone behind, which will get you in trouble with most parents these days, you're basically tracked 24/7. It used to cost like an extra $15 a month. Now it's included. If you've got kids, it's just automatically available. You can ping their phone and it'll show you on a map where they're at. And you can now get it where it'll show you a track of where they've been. So it's not even like, you went to so-and-so's house and now you're at, the person you said you're going to be at house, so your story looks true. Your parents can go back through the day and see that you were at someone else's house and be like, you come home, they're like, so, you were at so-and-so's house, and you're like, no. Turn the monitor around. See?
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that is creating an even bigger divide for some people. Like, it's one thing to occasionally check up on them, it's another to obsessively look at everything. Because, really, your child shouldn't have to tell you every single fucking step they made that day.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to go searching for it, you already have a bad relationship with them. Because they don't feel compelled to tell you.
Well, it's terrible for their psyches, too, I mean.
Yeah, they need privacy. Even a little bit. They're a person, they're a tiny person, but they're still a person, and people need shit like that. But at the same time, there has to be a stopping point where their safety is greater than their need for privacy.
My mother could never understand why, after a certain point when I started to get technology that was my own, personal access points, that my security was sky high. And I was like, you probably shouldn't go snooping through my stuff my entire childhood if you didn't want me to have incredibly strong passwords on all of my technology.
Mm-hmm.
It was really amusing because I reached a point where where I was the network administrator for our house, and I would get notices on my phone that my mother was trying to break into my goddamn computer.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
She's like, well, I was just curious. I'm like, curious about what? But, it's one of those things. It's like, she'd be snooping around, and I'm like, yeah, sorry. Secrets.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I technically did and do have a good relationship with my mom, and I did with my dad when he was alive. It's just, I was living a different life when I was a teenager. But generally, they knew what the things I considered important. They knew the people who I actually considered friends. They, knew what was going on in school and shit, or if I was having an issue. I mean, they knew that I was sexually active and whatnot, but they didn't really know in what way. But my mother had gone over, things like personal rights and protection and whatnot, and without prying, I could easily ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, for me at least, made me feel, okay with communicating with them. I still wasn't telling them everything, but I was still coming to them with what I felt was important.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think, going to parties and shit was all that important. They knew I had gone out somewhere. And they knew who I was with, so... Well, they knew who I had left with still. I mean, you can do everything right and your child could still end up dead, so at least let them live a life. Not necessarily the life I had, but...
No dangers. No nothing.
I mean, it's terrible. No parent should outlive their child, but it could easily happen. But usually not from the stuff they actively worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Because your greatest threats are really people you know, and disease. And chaos. Because you can't fix chaos.
That's why it's chaos.
Yeah. Just, treat your kids like people.
My kids are slaves.
You need to hit the lotto just so I can start adopting kids. Oh, you gotta be sad. Let's, talk about something else.
Yes. Other things.
I think, what was it? Yesterday or the day before, we were talking about Republican candidates? And I think it's gone up one more since then. Isn't it 14 now instead of 13?
18.
It's 18 now? Wait, isn't that just all candidates, or is that just Republicans?
Well, I just saw Scott Walker join. He said he makes 18 Republican candidates.
Oh, fucking
I could be wrong. I haven't been following that closely, but...
Just swimming in dumb shits. I am loving that Trump is, people aren't putting up with his stupid shit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just, crazy.
Okay, according to who is running for president, there is 5 Democrats with also 2 possibles, because they haven't filed anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
And 18 Republicans and 2 probablys on top of that.
So there's a good chance that there's going to be 20 Republican candidates.
This is going to be fun.
God, this is going to be insane. I mean, a lot of them will fall out within the first couple months.
Well, yeah.
They just won't have any traction.
Let's see. Oh no, I know all these names. Okay. I gotta re-register because my thingy didn't show up.
Oh no.
Even though I did register. So I'll make sure to do that so I can get my thing by mail. So I don't have to go out in the evil sun that isn't out right now.
Goddamn sun.
Damn you, sun, and your sunness that we need, but not too much. Or too little. Has the movie thingy come out for... Oh, we were just talking about it. Red Glasses.
I don't know!
Yeah, because I remember seeing shit for it, but I don't remember if it came out yet.
Yeah, I think it did. And it answered, all the questions, but then, ended on a giant question.
Oh, that's how gonna keep it going. Okay.
Yeah.
Should probably watch that eventually. Did you leave me something? Oh no, you did. I already got that. It was telling me it was new, but it wasn't. I already fucking clicked on it.
What's up?
The link you sent me to Facebook, it was still telling me it was new, even though I had already clicked on it.
Oh, silly.
I will be right back. I must pee. I consumed much tea.
Okay, I'll be here.
Come on in. Boy. Can you hear that noise? Is that a no?
Wait, what? Hang on, sorry. What's up?
Can you hear that noise?
Not particularly.
Oh!
God, you pee as fast as a man, you know that?
Kegels! Oh, I love you.
That's like fucking impressive as shit. Holy crap.
Do them Kegels, ladies and gents. You will have very good control over your urethra. And if you have a vagina, a pretty nice vagina.
Good God.
I'm doing them right now.
Are you?
Yeah, it's once you get your brain to understand how to do it, it's not that hard to do it when you're not doing much of anything. Or even doing anything. Standing in line, sitting at the desk, taking a bath. Anything, really.
Kiki is silly.
Yep. Scritch, 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 scritch. Yeah, right there, pop up.
I'm gonna turn my fan on. It's getting warm in here.
It is 75 in here. What's the weather going to be tomorrow?
Hot.
High of 89.
Fun.
That's actually pretty cool for around this time.
Hmm.
Considering I'm seeing a lot of 90s and barely 100s, that's super cool for what we've been experiencing. Because I do not like triple digits that have no zeros.
Yes.
Or even the ones that have only 1 0. Jeez.
That's really hot. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, one day we got up to like 111.
Eef.
I think that was one of the days we drove out to Oak Grove to go swimming. Melted in the car on the way there. We're out of Freon.
Yikes. That's the whole thing. It's like a lot of the places where it gets into the 3 digits regularly, it's not very humid, so it's not terribly bad.
I think... No, not on that day. But we've had a couple of, like, humid days.
Yeah.
Because
generally when we get above about 95, we automatically have 100% humidity around here. So it's just unbearable, and I do mean unbearable. The heat index is well into like the 120s.
I fucking hate sticky heat. It makes breathing so exhausting.
Yeah. They worried because we were supposed to get high 90s for the 4th of July weekend, and it was like the heat index was going to be like 115 or something. It never ended up happening. It ended up being cool that weekend, but they were talking about it, and they were like given the humidity and everything, like our heat index was like a good 20 degrees warmer. It's just like, ew. So if it actually gets to like 110 here, that would mean our heat index would be like well into the 130s. It's like, it only gets that hot in the Middle East.
Let's see. We currently have... Wow, we have a lot of fires going on right now. Jeez. I did not realize. Wow, lots of places near me are on fire. Huh. But that's California. Any movies you're looking forward to?
Nah, not really. I've reached the point now where I only passively watch movies. There's maybe, one every couple of years that I go out to, because I don't really have movie buddies anymore, so like nobody so for me, like a lot of times, like I'm like, do I really want to spend $20 to go to a movie that if I wait a couple months will be out on DVD?
Mm-hmm.
Or streaming, or whatever. Ooh, Fullmetal Pank's getting a Blu-ray edition.
Ooh.
Or, wait. Oh, it's the complete series. Nice. That might be the way to get it.
Are you having trouble, Dog, or are you getting there?
I think he's getting there. He's pretty much under the blanket. Oh, maybe not. Nope, I think he gave up.
Well, no, he must have finally got it. Unless I'm in the bed too, what he likes to be is both on and under the blanket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The way to be.
If I'm in bed too, though, he wants to be like partially on me and under the blanket.
Yeah. Because he wants to suck your heat.
Yeah.
But really what ends up happening is he ends up giving you the heat, because he's going to be way hotter than you are.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. It keeps my legs and feet pretty toasty.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting to see how the cosplayers do the Kantai collection propeller shoes. Like, all the girls have, like, their high heels have, like, where the heel should be is like a propeller.
Yeah.
Or not a propeller, it's a rudder, I'm sorry. And it's kind of ingenious how some of them have done it. Because obviously, you don't, like, the way they drew it, like, the bottom edge is the actual bottom part of the heel. And then, like, it angles up and out. But that's awkward as shit to walk in, I'm sure. And so, like, a lot of times what you run into is, like, it's basically like a flag on the bottom, so that the actual part that contacts the ground is, you know, down a little bit from where the rudder ends. I'm still screwing around on Facebook. What's new?
Nothing. Okay, I'm starting to drift.
Yeah, I'm out of energy. I gotta be to work in 4 hours.
So I think I'm gonna call it here.
Alright, sounds good.
Thanks for hanging out with me. Sorry the girls couldn't make it. But
That's alright.
that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you once again for listening to the Super Happy Fun Jabbertron Tea Party podcast with Kiki and Bones. Farewell and good luck, you fleshy meat sack monsters.
I'll catch you later. Good night, Bones.
Yep. Night, Kiki.
Transmission terminated.